What's up YouTube, and welcome back to the channel. As you guys probably already know, I frequently browse Facebook Marketplace or offer up for cool used stuff for the Land Cruiser. And check out what I recently found. I've actually been looking for this guy for quite some time now. I know most of you guys like the ARB bull bar for the Land Cruiser 100, but I kind of like the Sahara a little bit more. And basically the Sahara bumper is almost identical to the bull bar, minus obviously the big hoops. This guy comes with optional chrome hoop, which actually is very thin metal. I think metal or aluminum or something. I probably wouldn't try to crash into anything with that. Besides the chrome piece, the Sahara bumper also comes with this guy, which I find really interesting. So on the regular ARB bull bar, there is some cutting. You have to mount these two pieces on the frame rail. On this one, at least, it's supposed to be bolt-in. Now, I'm not sure. I looked at the instructions and it didn't say there was any cutting involved, but the previous owner of this bumper was nice enough to include obviously all the hardware, have them screwed into where they go, and it looks like it should just bolt up. Now, I'm not 100% sure. We'll get there when we get there, but this piece looks like it's very strong because the winch mounts to here as well. So very interested to see what it turns out to be like as far as installation goes. But anyhow, let's get started. Some of the parts and tools that you might need if you're trying to attempt a bumper install yourself. Obviously, we've got the ARB instructions with all the parts, bits, and pictures. We've got some connectors, which are the Deutsch style connectors with the little crimp. I'll show you guys how to use this one later. This one's really cool. And obviously some fog lights. So this is the updated one. Let's open this guy up. This is the updated fog lights for the ARB bumpers. They are LED. However, I think these guys are plastic compared to the original glass on the halogens, but I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Also, I realize I haven't done an update on the Land Cruiser in a while. I did happen to get a rooftop tent, which I might do a review on, I might not. I mean, if you guys are interested, let me know. Also, I have the aluminum radiator in here still, and I promised the guy that sold me the bumper that I would review this guy very soon. So I will be doing a review on this guy in the next week or two. First off, we're gonna have to remove the OEM bumper skin and the bumper support underneath there. Now, I haven't done this before personally, but I've seen many videos on YouTube doing it, so I'm gonna skip past this whole part and get to the actual install. Okay, so taking off the front bumper skin, the OEM bumper skin, was actually easier than I thought. On the Land Cruiser, at least, you've got these little clips underneath the grill that you'll need to get to. Two of mine were broken. There was only one that was there, so that was easy. We've got a 10mm bolt on each side, left and right, and then we've got a line of 10s at the bottom that hold the bottom of the bumper skin to the bumper support. I think one of mine, this guy right here on this side, was already torn off. So that was one less bolt for me. And then of course you gotta unhook your fog light bulbs. I just took the bulbs out of the housing itself. You could unplug it, whatever you want to do, but it was just easier, and I'm feeling really lazy today. So next up comes the dirty bit. This is the bit that all the dirt is gonna fall into your face. We gotta remove the bumper support from the Land Cruiser. So this guy needs to come off, which means, if I'm not mistaken, we've got, let's see over here, 1, 2 bolts, and then the stock tow hitch will come out as well. And then on this side, we've also got 1 and 2 bolts. The stock tow hitch will come out along with this guy right here. This I don't know what this is called. This is like a recovery point. It looks kind of bent actually. Yeah, this is like straight on. It looks kind of bent already. Maybe somebody bent it previously. But yep, all those bolts come off, and then I should be able to remove the bumper support. On the bumper support, it's upside down right now, but there are 2 bolts holding it on the left and 2 on the right. They're hidden behind this foam piece, so this guy just pops off. After that, the whole bumper support comes off. Very, very easy. I think they're 14 mils. After removing the bumper support, you can see this is the end of the frame rail. And if I remember correctly, on the ARB bull bar, you actually have to cut the bottom of this, I guess this mounting point on the frame, which means there's no going back to stock. On the Sahara bumper, which is this one, obviously, the mounting goes over the frame, which just kind of bolts on. I think there's like some type of spacer on the bottom or something like that. And you keep all the stock stuff. So just in case you want to go back to stock for whatever reason, you can. But that's just what the manual says. Let's see how it plays out in real life. First of all, I gotta install these, I guess they're called tube packers, into the frame. So in you go. It's supposed to sit with the holes on top and bottom, but we'll align that later. One over here as well. Oh man, that one dropped. Okay, this is gonna be annoying. So I got the 2 packers in there, and right now the only thing that's holding it in place is this screwdriver. You can see it's moving around still. Same thing on the other side. This one you can see actually more clearly. It's relatively loose in there, so it needs the screwdriver. So what I'm going to do is try to put the bumper frame, this piece, the inner bumper frame, I guess, on the car first with the screwdrivers still holding the 2 packers. And then once it gets close, I'll take out the screwdrivers and put the bolts through. They go through here and they go through here, exactly like how this one is. And then you see the packers go through right there. So hopefully when I take out the screwdrivers, I don't wiggle around too much. That way the packers doesn't fall down in the frame rail. Then I have to start the process all over again. Yeah, this is going to be really annoying, I have a feeling. After a few tries, I decided to use a little bit of double-sided tape on these tube packers, so that way they will kind of stick on the frame and hold itself up for just long enough for me to get the bumper support on. Now I've got to put these things underneath the frame rail, in between the frame and the bumper support. It acts as some type of spacer. It kind of goes in like this, in between the frame and the bumper. So let me try to do that, and hopefully it works. So as you can see, I have the bumper lined up with the frame, and the, what is that, the little packing tube thing is still kind of in the vicinity where we want it to be, so that is good. On the other side, pretty much the same story. And also we have the spacers, I don't know if you can see that, in between the frame and the bumper itself. So now what I'm gonna do is put a screwdriver underneath into that hole to line up the spacer that we have right here. So line up the spacer with the holes, and then hopefully I'll be able to drop the bolt from the top all the way down on both sides without dropping anything, without dropping the packing tube in between. So wish me luck. And I can still see everything lines up. Try to slide the bolt in with the spacer. Ta-da! There we go, job complete. It only took forever. So now with the bolt going all the way through the top of the bumper, going through the little the frame, the tube. Then you've got the bottom of the frame, the spacer, and finally the bumper. There we go. Now we have to put in all the bits and pieces, tighten it down. We've got a washer first. This funny looking washer like this. Next, thick one. We've got the lock washer. And then finally the nut. So all that goes in. And then after that, we'll need to put this guy back in. Bolts seem to be slightly short. They are kind of too short, so I guess like the kit should have come with longer bolts, I think. For now, I'm not gonna use this little hook piece. Just gonna bolt up this guy to the frame, so that way it's secure for now until I find longer bolts for this guy. So one's right there, the other one is gonna be in the back. Do pretty much the same thing on the other side. If you get this kit brand new, I'm sure these bolts will be supplied, the longer ones, because I got it used. I think the previous owner might have forgotten to give it to me. No biggie though, they're just bolts. Should be able to find some other ones to replace them. So now, zap everything down. We should be done with the bumper support. All right, so as you guys know, these bolts came out of the Land Cruiser stock. There's actually two of each. The longer one was from the passenger side because it has that extra, I guess, like that tow hook thing. The shorter one is for the driver's side, which just has the what is it called? The driver's side has this as well. So that's why it only has the shorter bolt. The passenger side uses a longer bolt. Well, obviously now with the bumper and the extra spacer, these bolts aren't going to work. So what you have to do is use the passenger side ones for the driver's side, and then you're supposed to have longer ones for the passenger side. Obviously, because mine was used, I guess there was some missing bolts, but luckily I was able to find one from McMaster Car. Now, as you can see, this one is definitely a little bit longer. I also got some washers for it. Hopefully these guys will work. If they do, I'll leave a link in the description down below. So in case you guys need some longer bolts, I got you guys. So the thread pitch looks like it's correct. Yep. So let's see if the depth is okay. Oh yeah, I think it should be fine. Okay then, those bolts work just fine. The new bolts, the longer bolts on the passenger side with the hook, and then on the driver's side are the bolts that used to be on the passenger side and only have the tow recovery point. So everything fits as it should. Now, as you can see, the bumper support is installed. Right now would be a really good time to install a winch if I had one, but I don't. We'll come back to that later. One thing that I did do on the bolts that was slightly different from the instructions that the previous owner of this bumper mentioned was have the bolt actually go from bottom to top. Reason being is because you see how much it sticks out. It actually gets in the way if you were to use your factory tow hitch for whatever reason. So you'd have it stick out this much and it rub against the strap or whatever you're using. So this is actually a great idea Props to the previous owner of this bumper. But yeah, I definitely did that, and it looks like it's cleared everything without modification. So as long as the bumper goes in, which I think it should, I don't think it will have any problems. So now to install the final piece. So very important, I think the bumper is supposed to go in there, and then this guy needs to be bent a little bit according to the ARB instructions. So it needs to go this way, I think, to clear the bumper. Yep, it needs to go this way to clear the bumper. Right now it's hitting. Yeah, so I'll make some adjustments. Yeah, this one right here too, and we'll see if we can get it fitted on there properly. So now we have the bumper installed, everything is tightened down, and the gaps on the ARB bumper are near perfect. You can see right here, and then also on the driver's side, it's almost, the rubber is touching the fender. So a couple of things I wanted to show you guys. One, it actually never went on top of this tab right here. It actually was, the bumper never went that far deep. I just had to adjust it a little bit. But this guy definitely needed to bend out of the way, and it does show in the instructions that you need to bend this guy. Same thing with this. The bumper never really reached it. So all in all, it looks like the fitment is pretty good. Now onto wiring the fog lights and the turn signals. So on the fog lights, let's take a look at the wiring. Looks pretty straightforward. We've got two wires going into the fogs right there, and then on the vehicle, obviously it's the factory plug, so it won't work with this Deutsch style plug, but luckily I still have some left over from before, so I'm going to use these guys. That way it'll plug in directly to the fog light, and I'll show you how to do that. It's pretty easy. So this is the factory wire for the fog lights, for one of the fog lights, and obviously the plug is not the Deutsch style plug, so this guy has to go. So what you want to do is just give this guy a little cut. Here, sounds good. Ta-da! Now let's wire up the new plug. So now let's take a look at the ARB fog light. So obviously this is the female end of the plug, so I'm going to use the male end for the harness. But if you look inside here, I don't know if you can see that, the pins on the plug, oh, it's a really bad angle. The pins on the plug are the male end on this side. So I'm going to use the female end on the harness side. So let's go ahead and do that. Wires are already stripped, so they're ready to go. Next, we're going to use this cool tool right here. So make sure you have it, so it's like a ratcheting, so it stops right there. Have it all the way out, and then we are going to put this end in. So see this guy right here, the one with the little green stripe is where we're going to crimp. So we're going to put that in right there, and then we're going to feed the wire through. Let's see if we can get a good shot of this. Maybe right here, wire goes in like that, and then we're going to clamp it all the way down, make sure it's still in there, and then it releases. So then we have a pretty secure connection. Then we're just going to do it for the other one as well. Put it all the way in, crimp down, and then it should release. Ta-da! We've got two very secure connections. So next up, we gotta put the wires through the plug, I guess, and we want to make sure we put them both through a little plastic piece right there, a little rubber piece. This is what makes it semi-waterproof, I guess. I'll push them both in. Make sure you hear it click. It did on that one. There it goes on that one. And then you can see them right there. Once you get the two wires in like this, then you want to put the orange piece in and lock everything in place. Click, and you're all done. So now this piece will plug into the fog light, which we'll try right now. Make sure. Ta-da! It is in place. So I'm going to tape this guy back up so it's really nice, and we're going to give the fog light a try. So there you go, the LED works. In case yours does not, try to switch the wires around on the plug, and then it should work just fine. Next up, we gotta hook up these little turn signal / parking light. I believe this is the parking light, the white side, and the orange is obviously the blinker. So if you look at the back, you've got 3 wires. One is red, one is green, and the other one is black. So the black wire right here is obviously the ground. The red wire is for the white light, the parking light, and the green wire right here is for the orange light, the blinker. So luckily on the Land Cruiser, I have on the corner lens 3 wires. Check that out. How amazing is that? So I'm going to hook up my wires right here, so that way it will have parking, blinker, and ground, and then everything should work. I definitely need a little bit more wire though. This is going to be too short. On the LX470, guys, I think you guys have the blinkers down here on the bumper, so the wiring might be a little bit different. But if you have a Land Cruiser, you're going to splice the wires from your corner lens. I think that should be the easiest. So what I've done here is the little blinker lights that came with the ARB bumper. I cut off the plugs before, and I added the three-prong style Deutsch plug on both sides, right there. And then I have the male end of the plug wired up with some wire at the end, and this end will splice into the blinker lights, the corner lights on the Land Cruiser. So that's the game plan. Let's see how it goes. Let me go ahead and try to splice these guys really nicely, and I'll be right back. So this is what I did with the wiring. So this is the stock connector for the corner light, and inside there I spliced in the extra pigtail for the bumper blinker light, I guess. In between I added some cool looking mesh, not really necessary, but it makes it look a little cleaner because my wiring sucks. And then obviously we want to try it before we put everything back. Blinker and then the parking light. So this seems to be working. Now I gotta do it for that side. Alright guys, this is the finished product. The ARB Sahara bumper mounted properly to my Land Cruiser 100. And as you can see, with most things ARB, the fitment is pretty darn good. So on these older Sahara bumpers for the I think it's like the 98 to 2001 or something, they have this little rubber trim right here which closes the gap, which is really nice touch for ARB. I've got the fog lights installed. These are the updated ones with the LEDs. I have the blinker lights in there that are all wired up. No winch though. Haven't decided what I'm going to do here yet, if I want to get the cover for it or if I actually just want to put the winch in. Right now it's just a gigantic hole, no idea. And on this side I'm missing one of the caps for, I guess it's the headlight washer, and then I've got the CB radio antenna. I might actually move the CB antenna from its spot right there on the side of the hood to down here. I'm not entirely sure what I want to do just yet. Now, a couple things that I would do different, or some tips for you guys looking to install one of these things on your 100 series. Number one would definitely be that one bolt. That one bolt that ARB tells you to put from top to bottom. You actually want to have it from bottom to top. If you can see, it's this guy right here, and when you have it from top to bottom, the rest, the remainder of the threads come out about this far, which kind of blocks all your recovery points. When you have it from bottom going up, it's only this much, and you still have access to all this. So that is definitely a must if you're thinking about doing one of these guys. The next thing is actually the blinker lights. So the regular bulbs in these is the single filament, I think it's a 1157 or 1156 or something like that. They're the bigger bulbs, but when I have everything hooked up, since it on the Land Cruiser, I already have a blinker bulb in here, and I have one here. When I hit the hazards, I guess it overloads the relay to where it flashes real quick once and then it shuts off. That could be because obviously I've got two bulbs going on in the front already for each side, as well as two bulbs for the back. So what I ended up doing was getting the 105 bulb, still single filament, same socket size, but the bulb itself was lower wattage. It still shines really good, enough for this little small light right here, but it doesn't trigger the relay to crap out. And one last thing that I would caution everybody trying to do this bumper install is with this lens right here. When you try to pop these guys off, I don't know, mine is probably the original one from 1999. Basically, the bottom section of the lens was already coming off of the housing itself. I remember that because you can see right here, there's a lot of like water stains or whatever that got in there prior, but basically when I pried it, it broke, it separated just a little more, and as you can tell, when I took it on the freeway right after, it just kind of flew off. So be careful with these guys. If yours are the original one, they're probably really brittle like mine were, and will need to get replaced. So I've had the bumper on for about 24 hours now, and the only thing that's fallen off is the lens from the corner light. So I guess that's a good thing. Another good thing that I noticed about the bumper is the fog lights. The LED fog lights, I know the ARB ones aren't as bright as some of the aftermarket stuff out there, but the installation was super easy, and it still provides a ton more light compared to the headlight itself. Like now with the headlights on, you can barely even tell that they're there. The fog lights are that much brighter. I do really like this split blinker and the parking light thing going on right here. Gives it a very JDM look, I guess. I might get the clear corners for these guys. I'm not sure what I want to do with that yet. Maybe just get the OEM ones because they're readily available. I don't know where to find the clear corner ones. But all in all, I'm pretty happy with this setup. Probably wouldn't protect me too much from cows and sheep and stuff like that, but for the regular mall crawling that I do in Southern California, I think this is way more than enough. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to go ahead and hit that like button, and for more Land Cruiser and Overland content just like this, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.